So I bought out an old machine shop, or I guess what was an older gentleman's hobby machine shop. And the guy that I purchased all this from actually bought it from the, I'll call it the original owner, who actually had the machine shop. So this guy bought it. It ended up sitting in his garage for the better part of probably close to 10 years. And then I ended up getting it from him. And God, I don't know when the last time any of this was used, but I haven't put out a video in a really long time, a couple months at least, mostly because I've been dicking around with all this stuff. As you can see, I never thought that I would fill up this pole barn, but it's getting to the point that there's not a whole lot of room in here. But I came across this deal and decided that it was too good to pass up. Everything that I purchased, well, for the most part, the majority of it was all functional, but it all needed, or still needs, quite a bit of help. But I'll probably go ahead and do individual videos on each one of these pieces of machinery as I go through them, and whether I decide to fully restore them, which, full disclosure, I probably won't fully restore any of them, at least not for the foreseeable future, just because I don't have the time to do it, or the space really. I could probably make time and make space, but at this point in my life it's just not going to happen. But I do want to get them all back to a functioning state, and that's going to take enough time to do by itself. So this is just going to be like a short introductory video, kind of going over what I got, what it is, maybe a little bit of background on the machine itself and the company that it came from. Yeah, I guess I'll just quickly run through everything that I got here in the deal. It was kind of a big bundle package, I guess. The guy that I bought it from, like I said, he bought out this machine shop at an auction, thought he was going to use all this stuff, and then never got around to it. And now he was selling his house or his business, whichever it was, and decided that he wanted to just get rid of it, get it all out of there. So I got a pretty sweet deal on it. Been super happy so far. Like I said, it is all functional. This big rolling cabinet came with, I got a shitload of tooling with all this stuff too. So I'll show you guys all that too, but yeah, this was just full of mice. And I mean, I don't know, the whole thing is kind of junky. I don't think I'm going to keep it. I don't really have a use for it. It almost looks like it was like a kegerator or something like that, or a fridge at some time. Something like that. I don't really know what it was, but it's got this wind up on the back for a cord, and this weird access panel on the back. If anybody knows what this was, I'm kind of interested to know what it was at one point in time. And the reason that I said fridge or something like that was, one, because of the wind up for the cord on the back, and then it also had this weird like wood grain glue-on veneer paneling on it. So I don't know what that was all about, or maybe it was some kind of toolbox, you know, manufactured to be a toolbox. I have no idea, but like I said, don't really have a use for it at the moment, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna hang on to it or not. But this is just some of the tooling that came with everything. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff here. It's been almost a month since I've got or picked all this up, and I'm still just going through everything, trying to sort through it all and find out, you know, what everything is, what it's used for. There's a lot of stuff in here that I'm honestly not too familiar with, so I'm learning quite a bit as I go here. But had to pick up one of these, whatever they are, supersonic or ultrasonic cleaners from Harbor Freight that I've just been using to soak all these old end mills and everything to get them all cleaned up. Been using some rust converter and stuff just to get everything cleaned, and like I said, everything was just kind of mouse infested when I picked it up, so I've just been trying to get it sanitized a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like pretty much anything that you could think of that you might need came with or included in the deal. A bunch of taps, there's a bunch of tool holders for the lathe. There was a couple of different steady rests. That one down there is actually for this lathe, and there's a different one laying around here somewhere that I think, oh yeah, it was over here in this pile. So this one I think is actually for the lathe that the previous owner kept. He had a smaller south bend that he decided he wanted to keep, so I'm going to try and get that back to him because I don't really have a use for it. So, and I'm sure at some point he'll be missing it. But there were two other machinist's tool chests that that came with the deal sitting over there. I have everything that was in those cleaned out, and it's all been washed and cleaned up at this point because, like I said, literally everything was just covered in just mouse, you know, mouse house, and then obviously with that comes the corrosion from mouse urine and everything else. So it was all pretty nasty. But anyway, I guess getting into the really cool stuff. This is an old index knee mill, vertical mill. I don't know whatever you want to call it. I would call it a vertical mill. It doesn't have a power feed for the table, although that was an option for these, I believe, back in the day. I haven't figured out an exact date of manufacture for it yet. As far as I know, it was made in the mid-40s, probably around 44 or 45. I did find a serial number stamped on it, so I'm going to try and send that into the company. So the original company was Index, and they are now Wells Index. The company still exists. But you can see the original plate on there. Man, the autofocus on this camera absolutely sucks. But yeah, I mean, it's just a nameplate that says Index, and then gives the location of the original location of the company, which was Jackson, Michigan. But I think it would be cool to send the serial number information off to the company and figure out exactly when it was made and who it was sold to and what options it came with and whatnot. But it does have the power feed for the quill, which is kind of cool. I've gone through and cleaned this one up a little bit, but like I said, there will be a separate video on that, kind of going through detailing everything that I had to do to get it back into shape. And there's a significant amount of wear on the saddle, which, I mean, for something this old, I would completely expect that. There's a little bit of visible scraping pattern yet there on the vertical part for the knee, which, you know, that's probably the one surface that I would still expect there to be some scraping pattern on yet, just because that's the one that probably, you know, received the least wear over the life of the machine. But as I said, the motor that was on here, this is the one off of the drill press, the one that was on here, the startup winding was shot, and I didn't feel like messing around with that, trying to fix it. I did take it apart and look at the contacts and everything just to see if it was something simple, but I think there is an actual short in the startup winding. So like I said, I tried to use this motor on here, but I for the life of me couldn't figure out how to reverse the rotation, so I just picked up a new Dayton off of eBay for, I think it was like 150 bucks, so that was well worth it to me just to have a brand new motor on here. So I'll hopefully get that wired up later today, and maybe even try it out. I don't know, I probably won't machine anything with it right away, but just get it plugged in and turned on and just make sure everything's working properly. That would be kind of cool. I did get the drawbar loosened up and knocked the old tool holder out of it there. I know on a lot of machines, there are a lot of guys that I talk to that have these, the tool holders are stuck up in the spindle and they can't get them out, so I was lucky enough to be able to knock that one out. And I think you can still get what is it, I think it's The taper on the spindle on these is a Brown and Sharp number 9, I think is what it is. And I just did a quick search on Amazon the other day, and it looks like you can still get some universal tool holders for that type of taper in that spindle. So it looks like there's still some options out there. But other than that, yeah, I mean, as far as a mill goes, it's a pretty basic machine. Like I said, there's no power feed on anything but the quill. And I don't even think that was standard. I think that is an option, but I'll have to go back and look at the information that I found so far about this. But overall, I think it's a really nice size to have in a home machine shop, or just a home shop. It's not too big, not too small. It is heavy as hell. I think it weighs right around 1,200 pounds. So moving it around is not an easy task. Luckily, the gentleman that I bought it from was nice enough to bring his forklift down and actually get everything in the shop here and help me move it around. But I'm looking at probably getting some pallet forks for the tractor in the future, and hopefully, I mean, I would imagine that would be able to lift everything. I don't know why it wouldn't, but I'm not 100% sure what the lifting capacity is on the tractor. The lathe, this is a South Bend model 67C. And it's been truly difficult finding information on this guy. But overall, it appears to be in really decent shape. Again, there's some significant wear on the ways and everything, but all in all, it seems to be in functioning condition. This one does work. I had to run a 230 outlet over here. I took care of that a couple weeks ago. And this, the motor is wired up with just regular old Romex, so I think eventually I'll switch that over to SO cord. I got a lot of comments when I did the video on my air compressor saying how it's a stupid idea to wire things with Romex when you could be using SO cord, so yeah, I mean, I get it, yeah, it's a safety thing, so I'll probably convert that over and at some point convert my compressor over too, just because, like I said in a different video, I don't leave it plugged in or anything like that, and I'm always out here when it's running, so I'm not too worried about it, but just for safety's sake, I guess I will probably switch that over. But this thing just needs a lot of TLC in the cleaning department. It just needs to be cleaned up. But I did find the casting date for the bed on these machines. I'm not sure when it changes over, but I know on the earlier South Bend lathes, the early ones like these that have the you know, I don't know, the cast iron legs like this, where the whole drive mechanism is up here as opposed to down here in that doghouse. The casting date is on the inside of the bed, so it'd be right here under the tailstock. And I believe this one was 10/27/23, so that's October 27th of 1923 is when this was cast. And as you can see, the whole thing predates safety. Yeah, you got to be super careful when using this. As you know, you just gotta not be an idiot. It's like dealing with the PTO shaft on a tractor or something like that, you know. Just got to be aware of the parts that are moving and the fact that there isn't a guard there. I don't know if I might try and make some sort of a guard, just because, you know, with the way that I am, you can never be too careful. But for now, that's not really a priority. I do want to get this all cleaned up, get all the surface rust off of it and things like that. Like I said, this one did come with a couple different vices and a steady rest down there that does fit onto here. That 4-jaw chuck, I believe, also fits on here. I think the thread pattern was the same, and that one's just a little bit smaller than the one that's on there right now. This thing is freaking huge. But overall, it does have the quick change gearbox, as you can see there. The half nuts are still good for the power feed for threading. The threads on the lead screw and everything look really nice, actually. Overall, other than, you know, just it being super dirty, it seems like it's actually in pretty good shape. What else can I tell you about it? Came with this Palmgren, or geez, I can't even say it right, Palmgren rotary table. I've never used one of those before. I know this one's a little bit rusty, needs to be cleaned up, but again, just all the stuff that came with this, it just seemed to be a hell of a deal. I got all these different chucks I don't know why there's so many of them. They all have different tapers on them too. So I don't know which ones I'm actually going to be able to use and which ones I'm not going to be able to use. But there's just tooling like crazy. I don't know if you guys can see in there or not, but all sorts of different stuff. Another, I think that's a 3-jaw chuck down there. But just bins of, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, inserts, tooling inserts for the lathe. This Kennedy box did not come with the set. I ended up just picking this up off of Facebook Marketplace. I should say this lower did come with everything, but the upper did not. My OCD was kind of killing me, and since I had the two-drawer Kennedy, I at least wanted the top box for it. I don't think I'm ever going to pick up, maybe if I come across a lower roller Kennedy cabinet, I'll pick it up, but those things are just absurdly expensive right now. And I mean, I get it, it's transforming into kind of a collector's item, I guess. But for, you know, what something like that Husky over there costs, I might as well just grab something like that versus paying, you know, whatever it is, $500 or $600 for a Kennedy lower, just because I'm just a hobbyist, so I don't need top quality everything. But those tool chests over there aren't anything super fancy. They're not like Gerstner's or anything like that. I haven't seen a brand on either one of them, but I still would like to clean them up, refinish them, put new felt in the drawers and stuff like that, and use them because I could still use the space. But you can see there's just all sorts of angle gauges. This is just kind of a junk drawer right now of stuff that I'm not even certain what it is or what it could be used for, but I didn't want to throw any of it away. Just all sorts of different files, deburring tools, more cutters. I'm going to switch this over to manual focus so you guys can actually see what I'm looking at here. There we go. Yeah, all sorts of taps. I have no idea what these are. I mean, if anyone wants to chime in and tell me what I'm looking at, feel free. I have a little bit of background. I mean, I know what some stuff is. I haven't really touched a lathe since high school, so that's probably about 10 years ago now, 10, 12 years ago. But there's been a number of things that I've been working on around here where it's like, you know, it'd be super nice to have a lathe to fix this or make this part since they don't make it anymore and stuff like that. So I've been looking for one for a while and ended up, seems like, kind of finding the holy grail of deals. I've been super happy, feel super lucky to have come across all this, but I have a little bit more room there for some stuff. But yeah, a bunch of, again, different files, got some carbide cutters, carbide inserts, thread files. These tool holders, again, I think are for the 10-inch South Bend that guy kept, so I might try and, when I give him that study rest back, we'll take those back over there and see if he wants those back. But yeah, I mean, if you were to buy all this stuff individually, I mean, the cost would be massive. These are the other, there's a chuck and then some sort of universal tool holder that have the Brown & Sharp number 9 taper for the mill. Yeah, and these are some boring bars, a couple more tool holders there. These are just different types of unique like end mills that I have yet to clean, still working on that. I don't know why, but my OCD makes me close this up if I'm not using it. But and this is one of those Harbor Freight specials. I think this is supposed to be like a Chinese copy of a Gerstner or something like that, but got different types of micrometers that came with it all. It's all, most of it is Starrett stuff too, so it's all pretty decent quality. Let's see what else we got going on here. Yeah, again, just different types of more files, gauges. Telescoping bore gauges, depth gauge, more mics. Those are some, I can't even say it right. What is it? It's carborundum stones. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but yeah. A couple of reamers back there. But yeah, I mean, if it's, you know, if you need it for machining at this point, or for anything that I'm going to be machining, I think I have it. So what else can I show you? I got this bandsaw was included with the deal. This is a 14-inch Sprunger bandsaw. It's set up for cutting steel right now with the blade that's on it, and you can see it's got a massive pulley on it, so it's slowed the speed down of it, or yeah, slowed the speed down quite a bit. I did test that out. It does work, but you know, there's a couple goofy things that I'd like to fix on it or change, I guess. None of the adjustment knobs for, adjusting the blade guide up and down or shield, that was gone, but luckily all the threads for all these adjusting knobs are just like standard SAE threads, so I just went over to the hardware bin and was able to get bolts that all fit, and it all works. It's just like, you know, if I could fit an actual plastic adjustment knob on there, I will. But again, this thing was filled with mouse nest. I've yet to clean it all, but I'm pretty, I don't know, I like to keep things clean. I know that might not bother some people, but you know, I don't want to have to deal with whatever viruses or whatever that might be hanging around in there yet. Probably nothing, but you never, can't be too careful. So figure I should clean it up. This little drill press, I think he's just set up. He had that on there for like what would you say? Not center punching, but just drilling pilot holes probably. It also works, but the wiring on everything is just as janky as it was on everything else, so I'm going to be spending a fortune in SO cord just to, you know, rewire everything. But that's okay. And then the last thing sitting over here is just a surface grinder. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this or not because it's kind of taking up more space than is worth, I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably never going to have a need for this, but we'll see. I might keep it around just because I think it's cool and kind of fits in with everything else. It's a nice piece to add to the collection, I guess. I'm not even sure the brand on it. There's no, you know, like brand name anywhere on it. I did pull the motor off of this one too because I was going to try and use that on the mill, but that's sitting over on the bench right now, and it also needs to be rewired. Surprise, surprise. I did hook up the table and everything. The magnet does work, although when you throw it on, there's a nice fireworks show that comes out of the box down there, but it quiets down, and then it does work. Like I said, it does magnetize and everything, so I'm sure that probably just needs to be rewired. And the table itself was off when I got it. It was missing this guide piece right here, and I think that's sort of how you adjust the pressure that the, you know, how the table itself attaches to this bearing surface or guide block. I don't know, whatever the correct terminology is there. But it was missing that, and for some reason it was just hanging out in this drip pan for the lathe here. But yeah, I think once I should be able to just pop that back on up here and it should run just fine. But it does need to be cleaned like everything else, cleaned and rewired. But like I said, I'll probably hold on to it for a while and see if I come across a use for it or anything like that. If I decide there's any reason to keep it, then I'll keep it. But other than that, I might throw it up for sale on Facebook and see what I can get for it. I would imagine someone somewhere would be willing to pay $200 or $300 for it, so get some of my money back anyway. Or who knows? Like I said, maybe I'll keep it. We'll see. But yeah, when I brought everything in here, this whole area here was just, I had everything laid out, and it's been a month now. Like I said, of just cleaning and trying to get everything organized and put away, and this is what I have left here, this pile of stuff that I don't know what to do with. So it'll be an interesting adventure for sure. Just trying to get everything organized in here and put away. I really got to get the internals for that 400 off of this table or off of my workbench here, just because I've had this real estate taken up for, God, probably since like January or February when I took that engine apart, and I'm not going to be rebuilding it anytime soon, I don't think. So I got to find a place to put that and get some more shelving in here maybe. Looking at possibly getting one of those shipping containers. Got the yard barn right there behind my big old cedar tree here. I got my lawnmower and chainsaws and stuff in there, and then there's the wood shed, which is kind of divided into 3 different parts. And I've found that you know, the house that I live in used to have a wood boiler in it. That's gone now, and they used to fill that whole wood shed up for the winters. But right now all I have in there is my wood stove on the first floor, and my wood burning fireplace down in the basement. So I've figured out that I really only go through about 1/3 section of the woodshed in wood each year. So I've been using the other 2 sections just kind of for storage. So all the way over on the left side, I've got a bunch of stuff hanging out in there that could go into a shipping container for storage. So I'm thinking about possibly getting one of those, and then I could get the lawn tractor and, you know, the Ford and the other white out of here, and possibly even the 4-wheeler. The Suzuki used to be here, but I moved that up to the attached garage just to get it out of the way, get some more room in here. But yeah, I'm battling space issues at the moment. I'm not sure how I'm gonna fix that in the future, but we'll figure it out. It'd be cool to build like a mezzanine back here and get 2 levels going on of storage, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, that's the latest junk purchase. Although it's, in my mind, it's far from junk. It's pretty cool to have all this old stuff just hanging out here. I'm looking forward to using it, getting it all back into shape. So we'll see how that goes. And like I said, as I start going through all these and you know, repairing them, cleaning them up, getting everything rewired, I'll make videos on it and throw them up on the channel, and let me know what you guys think. So thanks for watching, and I guess we'll see you in the next one.